And we're off on another episode of the RR Show. The name is Vince, and we've got not one, but 4 stories, all coming from the ever so entertaining subreddit known as r/TIFU. So that is what we are going to enjoy in this episode. By the way, please do give us a review and make it 5 stars if you would. That would be nice. And then also leave a comment. Let us know what you're thinking. So, without further ado, let's jump into r/TIFU. Hosted by the user Wobbly Lurker. TIFU by having bomb squad show up at work. Obligatory. This happened 5+ years ago, but I remembered it today. I used to work as a concierge for a residential building in a large city in Canada. One day, I was tasked with training a new hire, whom we shall call M. As I was one of the most experienced concierge, training rookies was automatically assigned to me. The work was mundane and didn't require much talent. M was pretty bright, so she caught on fast. At one point, I felt comfortable leaving her at the desk for a moment while I went to warm up my lunch. It was midday and nothing much was happening, so I thought she might be all right. However, halfway through warming up my lunch, M comes running into the break room, coughing, rubbing her eyes. She isn't speaking and can't communicate. Having taken first aid, instincts immediately kicked in and I rushed to help her. I got her to an eye wash station and got her to wash whatever had gotten on her. She was still coughing but managed to just repeat, "It was a white powder," over and over. She was able to catch her breath for a moment and was able to tell me she tried to register a package we had received earlier for a resident, but when she put it down on the desk, a bit of white powder from the box got on her face. I got on the phone and called 911 asking for an ambulance. The dispatcher was very good and got help rolling, but then told me to hold on the line for a moment. She then got back on the line and told me to repeat everything I had told her, which I did. In the process of doing so, I was interrupted by 2 other persons on the phone now asking other questions. I found this a bit confusing and immediately got an uneasy feeling as they mainly wanted to know about M, who she was, what she was doing, and more specifically about the white powder. Not wanting to leave M on her own, as she was still coughing, I simply told the people on the phone I didn't know where the package or powder came from or who it was going to, as I wasn't at the desk. At that moment, I was told not to move or let M move from where we were and to stay put. Not let anyone in or out and give directions to the dispatcher for the, quote, responders to be able to get in and find us. Then they hung up. Thinking this was a bit out of the ordinary, I called my supervisor and the manager to let them know what happened and that at the very least, an ambulance was on its way. Not 5 minutes later, I am called again by the dispatcher telling me that the fire department was on site but couldn't get in. They told me to leave the room momentarily, meet the firefighters, and take them to M. I didn't think much of it since fire department also does medical calls in this city. But when I get to the entrance, I find 5 firefighters in bright green hazmat suits waiting at the door. As soon as I let them in to go straight to the desk and find the package, the others ask me to lead them to M. Once we get to her, one makes me give him my phone, keys, wallet, work radio, and shoes. That really confused me. After I did, he took me to a different area of the building and told me that we would be isolating from everyone. The other 2 stayed with M. At this point, I'm starting to freak out. Not so much over the chance that I may be contaminated with something like anthrax, but more so because I now expect this isn't going to end well and have no idea if they'd have to shut the building down. I then see M being taken out by the firefighters to a stretcher waiting outside. The firefighter that is with me tells me to go with him outside as well. When we exit, I now see that it wasn't 1 fire truck and an ambulance there, but 5 fire trucks, 2 ambulances, and more cop cars than I can count. There is a mobile command station being set up and the entire block is being cornered off. At this point, the severity of the situation is sinking in, and I'm realizing this escalated really fast. Since I wasn't having a reaction like M, I was told to sit outside the building doors and just wait. Everyone seemed uneasy and things around were chaotic. I could hear a police officer's radio transmissions and make out that CBRNE is on its way. I asked the firefighter what that meant, and he very calmly says, chemical, biological, radioactive, nuclear explosives. Bomb squad. They'll be here soon. My heart sank. Now I'm really starting to worry I may have been exposed to anthrax. About 15 excruciating minutes later, 3 blacked out SUVs come racing down the street. When they get there, a bunch of military-style men get out of the car. Some go into the command station, others set up a perimeter, and 2 start getting equipment ready. One of the 2 puts on a hazmat suit, and then they both walk to the doors where I was. When they get there, they break things down almost like in a movie. One says to the other, "All right, it's just another call. Get in, find the package, identify, and we go home." A couple of pats on the back, radio checks, and the suited up man goes inside. My heart is racing. I can feel my head pounding and fear is fully taking over me. The officer that had gone in comes out after a few minutes. It felt like hours. And he simply yells out, "It's kitty litter!" Immediately, there's a sense of calm all around and people start laughing. It's at this point I realize there were people out on their balconies seeing it all go down. In the other buildings as well, they're all saying the same thing to each other, passing the message along. It's just kitty litter. Within minutes, the large majority of emergency vehicles have left. Anyone still there is laughing and joking about it. And the whole building knows that the bomb squad showed up for kitty litter. I asked about Em and was told she had an allergic reaction and was okay. But I'm going to the hospital just in case. I got my belongings back, the shoes too, and found over 80 missed calls from my supervisor, management, and colleagues. Management felt ridiculed that they had to have all that fuss over kitty litter. And despite me explaining I had been quarantined, and how I had called beforehand advising them, I was let go at the end of the shift for failing to communicate during an emergency. And that's the day Em found out she is allergic to kitty litter. Okay, traveling further into the r/TIFU subreddit, we have got a story from Luscious Dickus Maximus, TIFU by thinking the phrase was lame Ann's terms. When I was a kid, my sister had a raggedy redhead doll she called Lame Ann, who had a cane. My sister made her talk in a redneck accent and say really stupid things like, "I don't know nothing but my own 3 feet." As I grew older, I started to hear the phrase layman's terms thrown around. And I'd never heard of a layman, so I thought they were saying Lame Ann. I never questioned this belief, and my developing brain made sense of it by figuring out that Lame Ann must have been a nationally recognized folklore character like Paul Bunyan or Mr. Bean. I thought she was a handicapped straw man that we all knew to not be able to grasp difficult concepts because she was too stupid. Well, now I'm a college student who still held that belief until this morning. A month ago, I was forced by my own procrastination to write a paper in a single night. The topic was about caricatures that perpetuate harmful beliefs about real people. I took 20 milligrams of Adderall and pumped out a paper entitled Putting Bias in Lame Ann's Terms: The Dangers of Associating Stupidity in Individuals with Disabilities. Since I wrote all 5 pages in an hour, I did not fact-check a single thing in the essay, which centered mostly on Lame Ann and the ingrained discrimination she represented. I even opened with the anecdote about her saying, "I ain't know nothing but my own 3 feet." We got our grades back today, and to my confusion, I had gotten an incomplete. My professor left a single comment on the title of the paper, asking me to come to her office hours. I showed a friend and asked them what it could mean. They laughed at me and asked me if I was joking. They then told me that the phrase was layman's terms. I did not believe them. So I called my sister, and she barely even remembered Lame Ann, but confirmed that it was her own original character. Still in shock, I Googled it and could find no reference online to Lame Ann as I understood her. I'm extremely embarrassed and terrified of talking to my professor. I just can't believe it. I feel like I'm dreaming. From Odd Development 936, again, another story from r/TIFU. TIFU by getting my hair done at a 5-star salon. I had very dark and healthy hair I've been growing for 4 years and wanted to go blonde to switch things up. It was something I've been wanting to do for a while, and my boyfriend was more than supportive. We went on Google and Yelp and searched for the best-rated black-owned salons within 30-ish miles. We reached out to a few salons with no success until we found this 5-star salon, which seemed like they could do what I wanted. It was also only 15 minutes away, even better. We make our down payment, which was a little pricey, $440, but was understandable given the job and my hair type. The date finally rolls around and I'm extremely nervous, but I just tell myself it's excitement. We get in the salon and everyone is more than sweet. Green flag, right? I knew this process was going to take a while, and I was willing to wait the potential months that the process may take. Think of going from almost jet black hair to somewhere in between Barbie, blonde, and Jack Frost white. The lady who owns the salon said that she could get it done one day. That's where I should have walked out. But she was very confident in what she was saying, so I let the optimism get the best of me. There, she sat me down and bleached my hair for 7 to 8 hours straight, both under heat and just sitting. During that time, she spared no mercy to my scalp, slathering it with bleach with no caution. Towards the beginning of the last bleaching round, there was 4 in one day. I was in so much pain I couldn't sit still and I was crying, on the verge of sobbing. I had communicated with her multiple times during this interaction that I was in pain. But this is where she drew the line, I guess. She rinses my hair out, straightens it, puts it in a bun, and tells me to come back in 2 days. I went back. I get to the salon and we start finishing my hair. As she's sectioning out my hair right before she puts in the bleach, this woman says, "Oh, you have chemical burns on your scalp." Then slathers bleach all over it. I should have left then, I know, but I felt like I had almost gone through so much pain for nothing. Long story short, she finishes my hair, and first of all, it took almost an hour to dry under a blow dryer. My hair would typically dry 20 minutes max air drying. I come out of the dryer and my curls and definition was fully gone. When I got home, I offhand mentioned the burns to my boyfriend and he checked my scalp. That's when he found burn boils full of white pus. I sat there and let this lady deep fry my scalp. I wet my hair and it went pin straight and now has no curl definition whatsoever. People keep saying I should shave it, but I've been growing it since I was 14 and it's easier said than done. Got a refund, but might file a lawsuit from damages. Unsure yet. The final and the fourth story from today's venture into r/TIFU is from Thomas Clone THX 1139. TIFU by calling the cops on my own surprise birthday party. So listen up, guys. Biggest bruh moment of my life just happened. Like the kind of big where you want to crawl in a hole and hide forever. I just got off my shift, tired as heck, just want to come home, shower, and crash. But as I pull up to my house, I see something real strange. Lights are on all over the place, and shadows moving inside. Now, I live alone, like completely solo. No roommates, nothing. So this kind of freaked me out. My mind went to the worst places. Burglars, squatters, maybe even something worse. Heart thumping like a drum solo, I grabbed my phone and dialed 911. Told the dispatcher there were intruders in my house. They said they'd send a car right away. While I wait outside, anxiety gnawing at me, a familiar car pulls up. It's Sarah, my best friend. Relief washes over me, but it's short-lived. 2 police officers emerged from the car behind her, guns drawn, faces grim. The next few minutes are a blur. Expectations, justifications, all falling on deaf ears. Turns out, these silhouettes were my friends, throwing me a surprise party. But here's the kicker. They borrowed my spare key without telling me. The cops, understandably, weren't thrilled. Borrowing a key without permission is, well, illegal. My friend ended up in handcuffs. The party was over before it even began. The aftermath, a disaster. My trust in my friends is shattered. The thought of them rummaging through my belongings makes my skin crawl. And it gets worse. To feel safe again, I have to shell out thousands for new security doors and an alarm system. My friend's released, but is facing charges, and they're furious. They somehow think I'm the bad guy for calling the police, for not playing along with their little scheme. So yeah, this surprise party turned into a nightmare. Lost trust, financial strain, strained friendships all around, all because my friends decided to break the law in the name of a good time. We really appreciate you being with us on today's show. The RR Show is a production of Evergreen Podcast and Wessler Media. Now, if you'd be so kind, follow or subscribe to the show if you haven't already. And if you also haven't done already, please leave us a very nice 5-star review. Thanks, Mom. Also, for more, you can visit rrshow.com. That's rrshow.com. I'm your host, Vince. My producer, Kevin, thank you. We'll see you next time.